There you go. Yeah, it's auto.
Amazing.
Admit all. Oh God.
Hello.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got some people joining. Are you on here as well? Are you able to let people in? That's fine. We'll work it out.
I can try. It might let me join.
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's webinar, which is the secret behind winning landing pages. I'm Rob Wood. I'm a business development manager and Crow specialist at Pivotal, and we're really excited to have you guys with us today. I'm just going to let a couple more people in.
Amazing.
Cool. The way this is going to work is we've got a Q&A function in there. There's also a chat function. So do feel free to add any questions that you've got as and when you've got them. And yeah, we'll answer them towards the end of the call as well. We've got a Q&A section. So this is the secret behind winning landing pages. Landing pages are one of the most critical pieces of any digital marketing strategy and also one of the most misunderstood. Today, we're going to dig into what actually makes a landing page convert in 2025. And spoiler alert, it's not just a pretty design. Letting a few more people in. Yeah, it's not just a pretty design. We've designed this session to be as insightful and practical and interactive as we could. So whether you're a marketer, an e-commerce manager, or a founder looking to drive better return on investments from the campaigns that you're running at the moment, there should be something here for you. So here's what we're going to cover today. We'll do some intros first, then we'll look at the current state of landing pages and how user behavior is shifting. We're then going to go into the 5 principles of high converting landing pages. I'm then going to hand over to Laura, and who will go through some real life teardowns. We'll look into what works and what doesn't work. We'll then go into how the right tools and tactics can support your goals. We'll then look at the processes that we have in place here at Pivotal and some quick wins. And some quick wins that you guys can take away and implement today. And of course, as I said earlier, we'll wrap up with a Q&A. So do drop your questions into the chat as we go. We'll probably tackle most of them at the end, but if there's anything urgent, then we've got eyes on it as we go anyway. So a little bit about us first. So Pivotal is a full stack digital marketing and web development agency. We specialize in creating high converting websites and results driven strategies, focusing on driving traffic and increasing conversions and boosting revenue. Pivotal started almost 20 years ago as a web development and hosting company, specializing in creating those high converting websites across all platforms. And since then, we've grown the team, hiring world-class experts in every field of digital marketing. And this means that collectively across the team, we know exactly what it takes to grow a successful online presence. We've still got some latecomers joining, so I'll let them in just before we continue. So who am I? So you're probably wondering why I believe that I'm in a position to talk to this stuff about you. Well, professionally, I have 14 years experience in sales and business development, as well as 5 years experience in web design, UX, user experience, and conversion rate optimization. It's not all work and no play, though. I am a father of 3 boys, which is great and not at all exhausting. And I'm also a stand-up comedian as well. And in case you're wondering how good I am at that, I still work here full-time.
Amazing. Well, thanks to everyone that's joined us today. So I'm Laura. I currently head up the marketing and design teams here at Pivotal. But before moving into the marketing manager role, I was actually head of optimization and A/B testing here at Pivotal. So I've run and analysed hundreds, if not probably thousands, of A/B tests in my time here and previously as well, and completed countless UX audits. So I'd like to think I'm reasonably well versed in the world of high converting landing pages. And in my personal life, stepmom to two amazing boys, learning some DIY whilst renovating our home, and exploring a little bit of TikTok affiliate marketing.
Cool, perfect. Lovely. So let's set the scene by talking about where landing pages stand currently in 2025. So here are the highlights, basically. First, user behavior has changed dramatically. People are more distracted and more ad savvy than ever, and more selective. You've got about 5 seconds, if that, before a visitor decides whether to engage or to bounce. So clarity and instant value are non-negotiable anymore. Second, mobile first isn't optional anymore. We all know that traffic skews mobile, but what's changed is that users expect a desktop quality experience on their phone. So fast loading, no friction, thumb-friendly CTAs. If your page doesn't perform flawlessly on mobile, you're leaving money on the table. Then there's AI and automation, from smart layouts tools to dynamic content. So I'm just letting some more people in. From smart layout tools to dynamic content insertion, and real-time testing as well. Technology is changing how we create landing pages. The barrier to entry is lower, but the expectation for quality is higher. But what hasn't changed? So the fundamentals are that you still need to have a website that loads quickly. It still needs to deliver a clear and compelling offer. It still needs to be able to earn trust fast and make the next step in that user journey ridiculously easy. And finally, personalization is no longer a nice to have. If I land on your Facebook, if I'm landing on your landing page from a Facebook ad about sunglasses, and I see just a generic homepage, then I'm out. Visitors want to feel like the page was built just for them, because in 2025, it should be. A fun little fact for you is that the human attention span has decreased from an average of 12 seconds in 2000. The average human attention span is now only 8.25 seconds, which is less than the goldfish.
Crazy.
Now, that's why I put the goldfish on there. It's less than the goldfish's 9-second attention span. But obviously, goldfish don't use landing pages as much. I did mention I'm a comedian, didn't I?
Yeah. Something about that.
So this is sort of a pivotal reimagining of a well-known design meme, but it's very relevant. You may have seen this, particularly on one of our ads that we've put out recently for this webinar. You can nail every single part of your marketing. You're driving good, relevant traffic to the landing page, but your page just isn't converting. So we're here to redraw that landing page part today. It's why we're starting here, because if we went through every single way to optimize and streamline your marketing efforts, but you didn't get an increase in conversions, then it's just a waste of money.
Our CEO Tate absolutely loves this meme, doesn't he?
He does.
The example of the beautifully drawn horse towards the back and then just landing page. What is that? It's a really great example of so many websites. So who are we here to help with that?
So let's break down sort of the 5 key principles that sort of the best performing landing pages all share. These are sort of the foundations that will help any page convert, regardless of your industry, your audience, your platform. Number 1 is a clear value proposition. So within the first few seconds of landing on your landing page, a visitor needs to know, what is this? Why should I care? And what's in it for me? Your headline and your subheader need to do all the heavy lifting. And it's not necessarily about being clever either. It's about being clear and compelling. Number two, we've got visual hierarchy. So your page should naturally guide the eye, using things like size, spacing, color, even using the white space on your website, and the layout to make it more obvious what matters most. The key takeaway from this is that if everything shouts, then nothing gets heard. You can use contrast and to create focus, especially around your CTA. Number three is trust signals. So people are skeptical online. You need to overcome that with things like reviews and testimonials, logos of brands that you've worked with, guarantees or return policies, and things like social proof as well. Things like trusted by 10,000 customers, and then it sends them to a link to something like FIFO or review.io or something similar. Basically, anything that reduces doubt increases conversion. Number four is a strong call to action, or a CTA. So your CTA has to be clear, so it has to tell them exactly what happens next. It has to be visible, so try not to hide it halfway down the page. We've got some examples a little bit later, but typically a CTA needs to be within that first fold of the page. Needs to be singular as well. Don't give people too many choices. So you want to basically have one choice. So start your free trial, get this offer now, download this white paper now. It needs to be specific, benefit-led, and action-orientated as well. And number five is speed and mobile optimization. As I mentioned at the start of this webinar, this one's non-negotiable. If your page takes more than a couple of seconds to load, most visitors are gone. So you need to make sure that your page is built mobile first, loads lightning fast, and doesn't require sort of pinch zooming or endless scrolling. When you combine these five principles, you've got a strong foundation for high conversions, and you'll start to see your ad spend go further and your leads get stronger. Another fun fact for you now, 93% of consumers read online reviews before making a purchase, and 58% of consumers would be ready to pay more or travel further to purchase from a company with good reviews. I've got all the sources for all these fun facts as well, which we will share with you afterwards. On that note too, 62% of consumers are more likely to purchase a product if they see other customers' products photos. So things like UGC, or user-generated content, is really important. Like I said, remember as well, I will answer any questions that you've got towards the end of this webinar. I will take a quick look to see if we've got any in here yet. We don't. So there is a Q&A section. So if you've got any questions, do feel free to add them into the Q&A. And now I shall hand over to Laura.
Awesome. So now it's time to move from theory to practice. So we're going to look at some real landing pages and just do a few quick teardowns together. Again, if you do have any questions or any thoughts on these, please feel free to drop them in the comments or in the Q&A section. So we're going to look at 3 real examples from live pages, both good and bad, kind of got a mixture in there. Then we're going to break these down using the 5 principles that Rob has just covered. Is the value proposition clear? Does the page guide the eye with a strong visual hierarchy? Are there trust signals? Is the CTA really strong and easy to act on? And finally, is the mobile experience clean and fast? So yeah, as we go through each one, feel free to drop your thoughts in the chat. What grabs your attention? What do you find confusing or off-putting? Would you convert on these pages we're about to show you guys? So the goal here is not for us to be overly critical. It's for us all to learn together. You know, even small tweaks like changing a headline, moving a CTA, adding a small testimonial from one of your customers or clients, it can make a huge difference. We're also going to highlight what you can take away from each example. So no matter what kind of product or service you're selling, hopefully there'll be something relevant in there for you guys. So our first example is Harry's. So Harry's is a shaving and subscription brand that has actually gone from a startup to a multi-million-dollar company in just a handful of years. You guys have probably seen some of the Meta ads for Harry's. I get them all the time, even though I'm not sure I'm their target audience. So let's put our 5 principles to the test with the Harry's website. So in terms of the value proposition, we have moderate clarity. So let's see if I can, I might not be able to restart the video, unfortunately, sat right at the bottom. So Harry's doesn't really outline its value propositions, specifically, you know, for the different customer types that might be landing on here. It started out as a subscription brand, but it does now sell products separately. And I think they can still get a little bit confused sometimes with that journey in terms of subscriptions or the one-time purchase. So it offers beard care things, moisturizing products, and their flagship subscription product. But how much is actually clear from this page? You know, their main CTA on the homepage is shop the starter set, which doesn't really give me that much of an indication as a first-time customer what it actually is. In terms of the visual hierarchy of the Harry's website, it's strong, but there's some really sort of large, some large hero imagery, and their bold CTAs are really, really good. You know, their kind of main core brand color is that nice cool blue, and then that with the contrasting orange is really, really great to kind of catch people's eye and drive them to click on that call to action. So your eye on both mobile and desktop is going to be drawn to that bright orange CTA. But what if that's not what you're looking for? What if you're not looking for a starter set? What if you bought from Harry's before and you want to come replenish? Where, you know, they're not necessarily serving all of those different customer types. So the menu could be slightly clearer. And something that we both found shocking, I think, when we were having a look at the Harry's website, is there's no search bar whatsoever. So again, for those customers who do know exactly what they want, you know, what we've found in the past is users who search because they want something specific, they tend to convert much higher because they can find exactly what they want much, much faster with a short search rather than going through the menu. So the fact that Harry's has no search bar, I was blown away by this. So I'd highly recommend, you know, making that product discoverability super, super easy across your entire site. In terms of trust signals, I was quite disappointed to see there's actually not really any trust signals on the homepage for Harry's, unfortunately. No reviews, no social proof, no customer testimonials, no as seen in, all of the great publications I'm sure they've been featured in. It's just mainly kind of product photos, and they do have a couple of people actually demonstrating the product. The only width that other people have actually bought these products in the past is that there's a bestsellers section at the bottom of the homepage. But again, it doesn't clearly show any reviews. So Harry's could definitely improve there in terms of that social proof. Again, in terms of the call to action, you know, it's visible, it's really easy to find and see, but it's not urgent, you know, shop the starter set. You know, I'm not sort of really kind of drawn into that urgency there. It's placed well, it's clearly styled, but it does lack any kind of emotional pull. Like, you know, try now, start your best shave today. For those new customers, again, personalization is really, really important in this day and age. And you can really kind of cater for that as well within the CTAs. So I think, you know, they could also add some time sensitive language, or actually emphasizing they do have a really low risk trial. I think they do a free trial, don't they? But there's no sort of emphasis around that. So they could really take advantage of their propositions that they've got there. In terms of the mobile experience, it does, you know, the desktop website does translate really nicely over to mobile, but it is quite image heavy, which could be having an effect on sort of page speed load and things like that. You know, they've got large buttons, they're easy to find, and a really scroll friendly layout. So good job, Harry's, there on your mobile website. But, you know, these images could be slowing down performance slightly. The product discoverability on mobile is pretty good. They've got this nice little banner just right at the top above their hero section that you can actually link out to all of the different collections. So product discoverability, mobile experience is reasonably good for Harry's. So, you know, we're not here to just focus on the bad things. We're definitely going to call out the good things here as well. But generally speaking, you know, this page is pretty good. But we do have some suggestions from the wider Crow team that those guys kind of put together what they would recommend for Harry's to do to make this page convert really, really well. So the first suggestion there would be to just refine that hero copy for clarity, speed of understanding. What is it that they do? What is their main value proposition, and what do they want to get across to their potential customers? They could definitely introduce stronger social proof-based trust elements near to the top. I would recommend they just introduce some kind of social proof onto this page in any way, shape or form. But towards the top, you tend to find most of your customers won't scroll towards the bottom of the page. So you want to make sure that key information is high enough up the page that everybody's going to see it. They could reduce a little bit of the visual clutter by prioritizing, that one main message, especially what we can see here on mobile, shop the starter set. They do then have some different CTAs as you go down. They could prioritize that sort of.
There we go. There we go. Hello.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So Chrome decided to do an update whilst we were in the middle of doing this webinar.
Apologies.
So apologies.
We are back.
We are back. I'm hoping that.
I think you probably have to just reshare so everyone can see, and then we will confirm before we continue. But hopefully, no more technical difficulties.
Okay, let's skip through.
Cool. Can you guys see the presentation again? You can hear us all. It wouldn't be a webinar without a technical difficulty, would it?
I know. I said this as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Rosa. And thanks, Sam.
That's lovely.
Amazing. Right. Let's go forth and continue. Okay, awesome. So I was just running through all of the recommendations for Harry's on how to optimize this page. So I'd definitely recommend these guys actually A/B test some CTA language. Does the Harry's customer actually respond better to sort of urgency-based CTAs? Get yours now, don't miss out. Or do they actually respond much better to the kind of benefit-led language? Your cleanest shave yet. It would definitely be worth an A/B test because, oh, so glad it happens to others as well. Kindred spirit empathies. Thank you, David, for that. We appreciate the solidarity. Hopefully no more Chrome crashes again. But yeah, I would highly recommend that Harry's actually A/B test the CTA language to sort of iterate and find out, exactly what works for them, because this is not a one size fits all. It's all about understanding your customer and what works best for them. I'd also recommend they optimize mobile image sizes to reduce the sort of overall load time. People will bounce if your mobile site takes too long to load. So it's definitely worth making sure your mobile images are as small but as good quality as they possibly can be. I think Chrome's got a life of its own today. It just skipped on to the next slide. Cool. And then, apologies. There we go. So, just a few tweaks to this homepage, I think would make it even better and would make it convert, much cleaner. So then moving on to, does anybody have any questions or any thoughts or feelings about Harry's before we just move on to the next one? I'll continue and we can always do some questions at the end. So our example number 2 is from Dell. So I'm sure everyone in this webinar has heard of Dell, but if you haven't, they're a global technology company, designing and manufacturing PC, servers, network solutions, storage, loads of different IT services. So we're going to put our 5 principles to the test with Dell. So I'm just going to let somebody else in. Got a few latecomers. Awesome. So in terms of a value proposition from Dell, they actually have really little clarity, which I was quite surprised about. They lead with headlines on this page, this landing page, such as limited time AI PC offer. There's a lack of clarity on any kind of differentiation. You know, what is an AI PC? The value of that AI just isn't explained. And then at that point, it doesn't really mean much. Limited time AI PC offer, you know, it's functional, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't inspire me, you know, and with companies like Dell, you know, people buying into tech, you want to feel inspired, you want to feel excited by what you're buying. And that headline just feels quite generic. It doesn't highlight why the customer should care beyond the fact that there's a deal. I think the other thing about that headline is the open-ended dates on limited time offer doesn't necessarily help to build trust, because if you know it's for a limited time, let me know how long I've got. Tell me when this offer is going to end to create that urgency within me as the buyer to go and buy that right now. Limited time offer, the limit could be 3 months. There's no sense of urgency there, no inspiration, and no real clear kind of call to action to go purchase the AI PC. There's also, you know, no kind of emotional or professional hook. You know, Dell selling to massive companies, you know, professionals, and there's no sort of tie-in about how this would actually upgrade your work life. You know, would you get better creative output from this? Smoother workflow, smarter automation? Right now, I just think I'm getting an AI PC. I don't know what that AI is going to do. So they should really kind of lean into that kind of emotional, what is this? What does this mean for me? So then moving on to the second pillar, the visual hierarchy of this page. It is reasonably strong. It's clear. The CTAs are quite easy to find. And as you can see on the mobile screenshot we've got here, you know, the main CTA is there in black, really, really bold. And they do have that secondary CTA maybe for people who aren't quite ready to buy, but it's still there for them to find out a little bit more information. So in terms of the visual hierarchy on that section, it does work quite nicely. The hero CTAs are visually prominent, and the banners do have some nice imagery. Products are displayed in a nice tiered grid, sort of following the hero, you know, all of their core top level like category ranges. They are all really clear and easy to navigate, which is really nice when you land on this page. So, you know, the page does have a really logical content flow, which definitely helps, you know, especially for those new users who might not know anything about your product, what you sell, what kind of services you offer. Having that really logical content flow. Oh, everyone dropped out again. Can you guys still hear us? Just checking for the technical difficulty. Yes, thank you, David. Perfect. And Cassandra can hear us. Perfect. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. I'm just trying to keep an eye on the comments here to make sure we've got no more technical difficulties. Awesome. Cool. So, you know, the Dell landing page, you know, it goes from offer to product exploration to a little bit more of an explainer. It then dives a little bit deeper with those really, really clear CTAs that are strongly contrasted and attention grabbing throughout that entire landing page. There definitely is a few opportunities on this Dell landing page. You know, the hero imagery that they have used, while it is quite image rich, you know, there's no sort of lifestyle visuals or any kind of human context. You know, it's all very, very product focused. And a lot of the time, you know, your customers will want to see people actually enjoying your services or enjoying your products and those real world applications rather than just a kind of pack studio shot of the product. The carousel of categories below, you know, there is quite a lot going on there. The images don't all necessarily go together. So, you know, it could also overwhelm or just deter that focus if somebody has landed on your page with a really, really clear action. You know, it could end up deterring them. They could go off on a different path and then just end up leaving without signing up, making a purchase, whatever the goal is for your website. The trust signals, this is where Dell really, really falls down on their landing pages. They are minimal, if not non-existent. There are no visible trust signals in the hero section or, you know, even throughout this entire landing page. There's hardly anything to tell you how great their product is, how their customers have been enjoying it. You know, what other people recommend them? There's not anything, no badges, no logos, testimonials. The Dell corporate credibility is kind of implied, but it's not explicitly stated. And I think they could definitely be way, way stronger with that. If you've got some great social proof, don't feel afraid to shout about how great you are, how great your service is, how great your product is, because it's the point of your website. People are already there. They might just need that little tip over the edge to actually make that conversion. There is definitely a kind of missed opportunity here on this Dell landing page to build that confidence and trust right away with those customers.
And I think that's really key as well, because one of our clients, who I won't mention because I actually think they might be on the webinar, on their header, they're in which, and they're like which recommended. Yes. So on their header, they have that which logo on top, and that's first thing that you see as you land on. You see their logo right next to the which logo. So yeah, things like that are really important, especially when you're looking at sort of more high-end product or more expensive products.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Any kind of trust signals from any trusted, you know, like your Which, any of the kind of big reviews platforms, you know, anything that you guys have got, just make sure it's visible on the website. Because as I say, I have run probably getting on to the thousands of A/B tests in my time as sort of optimization consultant. And the amount of social proof tests that we have run, it's really, really clear. There is definitely a trend with higher conversions if you do have a sort of a really, really strong offering of those different trust signals, you know, like the recommended, like Which, for example, or your reviews, or customer testimonials as well. You know, one really clear hero testimonial is it always helps convert. So the call to actions, you know, they are visible across the page. I think on pretty much every given fold you can see on the Dell landing page, they do have really visible CTAs, but, you know, they're not super urgent. You know, they sort of say shop now, view all deals, upgrade now. You know, again, there's no sort of sense of urgency there, especially when they are talking about limited time deals. You know, you really want to drive that sense of urgency and get that conversion over the line. So, you know, in terms of sort of opportunities there, I think definitely convey that urgency, or they could lean more into that sort of emotional or benefit driven CTAs as well. You know, really kind of pull on those emotional heartstrings depending on the product. You know, if the AI PC is going to save me loads and loads of time, it's going to make my life way easier, I'm going to want it way, way more than if it just says get the deal. So, you know, can I have a think about that, guys, for, you know, any of your services or products? What is it that makes the customer convert? What is it that's going to make the customer actually click that button? Then the fifth pillar, to move on to the mobile experience, you know, the page is reasonably dense on mobile. You know, they definitely have optimized it for mobile, as you can see here. You have got those clear CTAs sort of on that top fold, which is really, really great. But a lot of the images are very, very big. So I would have a few concerns there about performance in terms of site speed. But yeah, that's definitely worth having a look at. If you've got kind of an image heavy website, just make sure they're all optimized for web. That's the easiest quick win to hopefully improve your conversions. No one likes a slow website, and your images are a really quick fix there. So, you know, they do prioritize that above the fold text and CTAs. And, you know, I think they definitely need to kind of combine their messaging. You know, what we've got here, they could combine that sale, benefit and tech angle rather than kind of having a random, okay, you know, grab this AI PC, you know, save up to 25% on AI powered Dell laptops this summer. Be more direct, you know, add that social proof, add a trust bar. You know, Dell have got millions of customers and they're not shouting about it. So, you know, a simple USP bar or a little section somewhere on that landing page as people are scrolling, it doesn't need to take up much space, but boy, it can help. It makes the world of difference. You know, for an example, for Dell, for the trust bar, millions of customers, you know, UK price match for customers who are in the UK. They can localize it, really personalize that experience, and 24/7 support. It's something that they offer, but they just don't shout about it. So, you know, if you do offer some really, really great services, or you have, you know, been featured, you've got really, really good Trustpilot reviews, for example, you know, make sure you're getting them onto the page. They could definitely lean into testimonials, especially when they're promoting, some of these new AI PCs. Get a testimonial from somebody within the industry talking about what that AI PC has done for them and their workflow. Get that review in there, get that social proof or that testimonial. Again, they could really upgrade their CTAs, making them super benefit driven and urgent. And I would also recommend sort of humanizing the hero visuals. This is something, again, that we've tested in the past, having, customers or just people in your imagery. It really, really helps conversions. People buy from people. And when it all feels quite cold and very product driven, customers are less likely to kind of find that emotional connection with your website and then go on to buy. We're not sure how the Dell website is built, but I would highly recommend they use sort of lazy load visuals, compress those images, just to make sure that mobile load speed is as quick as you can possibly get it. If anybody has any questions about Dell or has any thoughts or feelings on anything that we talked about here, if not, I will move on to Monday, and again, we can answer any questions at the end. So, wanted to include a sort of more service-based one in here. This is a SaaS product. Again, you guys probably all heard of this. This is Monday.com. It's a work platform where teams can plan, track, manage projects, tasks. They actually do loads within Monday.com, which is why it's an interesting one for us to tear down, because they are trying to speak to a lot of different customer types here, and they do it pretty well. So I really wanted to get that in there and show you guys. So let's put our 5 principles to the test with Monday.com. In terms of value proposition, I would say it's kind of moderate to good in terms of their clarity. The headline is actually designed to love. It's emotionally appealing. It does suggest that user friendliness, especially if you are in the market for a new project management system, having that kind of emotional sense of the value proposition definitely helps. And then the sub-headline does deliver some clear functional benefits. I haven't actually got so it's made for work, designed to love. And then they've got a little kind of sub-headline just to supplement that, which does then lean into some benefits. We have then got the streamlining, visibility, and AI enhancement, all actually mentioned within that first fold of the web page. So good job there in terms of the way that the information is communicated. But it is quite vague. Made for work, designed to love. What does that really mean? It doesn't immediately explain what Monday.com does or who it's for. That's where the subtext that supplements that does help. That term work platform is shown in that small text, but it could quite easily be missed. And people will often scan the web page. Again, I've watched so many session recordings and heat maps in the past, and people highlight text just to read it. So if it is small, the chances are people might miss it. The visual hierarchy of this page is really strong. They've done a really good job. The clean hero image of the boards, it definitely draws the eye sort of horizontally across the page. You do the little Z across the page with your eyes quite naturally. It draws you down to find out more about the product. You need to engage people in that top fold of the page, because if not, they're just going to bounce. The Get Started CTA is super, super prominent with that purple against the stark white. It stands out across this entire page. And it is repeated for various workflow categories for them as well. So, they've done a really, really good job on the strong contrast and the bold CTA placement. And it is intuitive. But they do have a hero section to talk about the different types of Monday products. And it does look like they kind of lead you to different versions of Monday, which could be a little bit overwhelming to new users, or, too many components going on at once. You need to just kind of sell the product and then direct them to the right places rather than give them all of that information. They've also got some AI features showing quite high up the page, but most just say coming soon. So you can't click through. They will be just entire dead clicks on that section, because you've given a little bit of information, say this is coming soon, but I'm not going to tell you anything more about what's coming soon. But hey, sign up anyway. I think it could just cause a little bit of frustration with those users, because they can't find questions, they can't find answers to the questions that they may have. I think it will always end up leading to sort of higher bounce rates if they can't find the information that you're trying to sort of tell them, and they then can't go on to find out more. It will lead to a higher bounce rate. The trust signals on Monday are actually really, really good. So under the hero banner, there is a logo carousel showing all of their trusted clients. And my God, have they got some good clients? They've got some Coca-Cola, Uber, Universal Music on there. So, if you guys do have some trusted clients or you've been featured in some really, really great publications, make them known, push those really high up the page, make sure as many people have eyes on them as you can. They do have some return on investment figures and case studies a bit later down page, but there is no kind of user testimonials near the top of the page. So I'd imagine quite a lot of people are missing these. So again, if you do have a really, really strong testimonial or just a little reviews carousel from your real world customers, definitely get that reasonably high up the page so that you can get as many eyes on it as possible. Then moving on to their call to actions, they are really, really consistent with their purple CTAs throughout, but they're not necessarily super engaging. The main CTAs get started with no credit card needed, and that CTA does repeat throughout. So it is consistent and they are driving one clear call to action throughout this entire journey. But it is really quite generic. It does lack that emotional pull. Get started. It's not kind of leaning into, okay, well, what's Monday.com actually going to do for me? What's that benefit to me by clicking that button? And that repeated CTA without variance. Again, it's great to kind of have one clear CTA throughout, but with that quite generic get started, you might risk fatigue with that. People might get a little bit bored and end up bouncing. Moving on to the mobile experience for Monday.com. Again, it's really, really clean. They've definitely designed this mobile first. It's really nice and easy to navigate. But again, it's quite image heavy, so I would be a little bit concerned. They've got loads of great images of their product, which really, really helps when you're trying to sell the product. But it is quite mobile, not mobile heavy, image heavy. So again, I would definitely recommend make sure that they have compressed those as much as possible without losing the quality. That's definitely something to be aware of. I've talked about compressing images, but make sure you don't lose the quality, because it's finding a real balance between the quality of the imagery and also the size to make sure it doesn't slow down your page. So some suggestions for Monday: adding clarity without sacrificing tone. A nice example would be like the platform teams love to use for planning, tracking, and automating work. Pulls on that little bit of emotion, saying we're a platform, we're built for teams, and we are used for planning, tracking, automation work. It's really, really straightforward, but it communicates everything that they need to about their platform within one sentence. In terms of the social proof, I would just recommend they move their strong testimonials higher up the page, and also really lean into, if you do offer a service, have you helped save time? Have you helped save money? Think about the person who's buying your product or interested in buying your product and what's going to resonate with them. And then make sure that that's then within that social proof, within that headline. And then I would just make sure that everything is super mobile responsive. Monday.com have done this well, but ensure hero visuals are sort of either lazy loaded or they are compressed down so they don't slow down your site. Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts or feelings on any of the teardowns that we've done? If not, drop them in the comments or the questions, but I'll hand back over to Rob.
Back over to me?
Is this one back? Yeah, that one's back over to you, and then.
Cool. Lovely. So now it's time to think about your website. We're going to put a question in the Q&A right now, which I was typing from the other side of the room, so I'm hoping that it's all spelt right. I want you to think about your website. How does your website measure up when it comes to the 5 principles that we've been discussing? Is the value proposition clear? Does the page guide the eye with strong visual hierarchy? Are there trust signals? Have you got a good CTA that's easy to act on? And finally, is the mobile experience clean and fast? Now, we do have that QA on there. I'll give it a couple of seconds, see if anyone is happy to answer it. But But yeah, then I'll
That's definitely worth thinking about, isn't it? Yeah.
just carry on.
Awesome.
But yeah, have a think about that. Think about your website really, like look at all 5 of those key principles and yeah.
Let us know. So yeah, in terms of it's another fun fact we've got for you before moving on to talk more about conversions. But over 63% of all website traffic comes from mobile devices now. I'm sure you guys won't be surprised. But that is over, what is that now? 10,000%? 1,000%. Oh yeah, sorry, it's really small on our screen. It's 1,000% increase since 2011. So, making sure that your website is optimized for mobile is really, really key in this day and age. Some people do still want to make big purchases on a desktop, but people are getting more and more comfortable with completing a form, actually going through a purchase on mobile. So rather than just kind of making sure you've got a really, really pretty desktop website and then, yeah, cool, we'll just make that a mobile version. You need to be designing and thinking mobile first. Just move on.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just we've got about 15 minutes. So guys, if you do have any questions that you do have or any just thoughts and feelings, yeah, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Just trying to get the comments back up. There we go. So now we're going to talk about some smart tech that can help you actually kind of achieve all of these things that we've talked about and really, really optimize your landing page. So, once your landing page is built on really strong fundamentals, it's not the end of it. To take it to the next level is to use some technology that really enhances and optimizes performance. So, these aren't gimmicks. They are so, so useful when they're used intentionally. I'm not saying go and install 20 different apps to do 20 different things immediately, but the right tools can significantly boost conversion rates. So just walk through a few categories. We've got like on-page engagement tools such as pop-ups and banners, and we'll get onto those. We've got some slides on each of those. Personalization engines are becoming more and more important. You can start to personalize your experience for new users compared to returning users. You can personalize the landing page experience based on where they've come from. You might want to say some slightly different messaging to somebody who's arrived on your site via organic search compared to somebody who's clicked through a Meta ad or clicked through a Google ad. The messaging that you want to say to those different customer types, we know that they behave differently. Let's optimize for that and talk to them differently. Automated follow-ups are really important as well. If someone abandons your landing page without converting, don't let that be the end, especially if you paid for that traffic to get there. You need to still try and capture them because they might not be interested right now, but they might just be waiting for payday. They might, be part of their exploration phase and they might come back to you. So make sure that you've got that automated follow-ups in place to just try and capture everybody. Think of it as a part of a broader user journey, not just a one and done interaction. Analytics and heat maps, tools to show you where people are clicking, how far they're scrolling, how they're actually engaging with that landing page when they get on it. It takes the guesswork out. There's no opinions anymore. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to change or tweak. And then A/B testing platforms, highly recommend testing one element at a time. Test your headline, then test your CTA. Don't test everything all in one go, but you will learn so much about your customers and your user behavior. What works on one page or for one brand might not work on another. So let that data guide your decisions. The best performing pages, they're not built once and left alone. They're shaped over time with that data. Customer behavior changes all the time. So you want to make sure you're kind of at the forefront, on the cutting edge, using really smart tools and getting that constant feedback loop, constantly improving. So examples of some on-page engagement tools, pulled out a couple of nice examples of pop-up forms here. The pop-up forms, banners, there's all sorts of different ways that you can do this. Sticky bars, exit intent messages, things like that. The key is timing and relevance. There's nothing worse than landing on a website and immediately a pop-up form asking for your email. Like, I don't even know what you sell yet. So well-timed pop-ups get way, way better sign-up forms and way better conversions. You don't want to annoy your customers as soon as they've landed on your website. You can use tools like Klaviyo or MailChimp to introduce pop-ups. it's not only the ability to save a sale, but also, you know, increases your number of subscribers that you can then remarket to in the future. Then moving on to some different personalization engines. And again, this really kind of depends on your business type and what your goals are, what you want to achieve with your website. But personalization engines can help deliver content or offers, you know, based on that user behavior. As I mentioned before, it can show different CTAs to new versus returning users. It can show dynamic content based on what they've previously visited. You know, if you're a clothing website and you cater for men, women, and children, and you know that a customer has previously bought something from the children's wear range, you can show them that in dynamic content, and they'll be way more likely to make a conversion. You know, we've got all sorts of different tools that can do this kind of thing: Airship, Fresh Relevance, Luigi's Box, Acquire. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Acquire. Yeah, cool. Web Engage and Geo-Targetly. These are just a few out of so many different personalization engines that are out there. They can help you create those real personalized experiences. More and more people are doing this now. If you're not personalizing your experiences, you are going to get left behind. So I would definitely recommend, you know, Luigi's Box is one that I do want to call out, because those guys have got it nailed down. Their platform is incredibly powerful. It's like I think it's like a 1 minute setup. I don't want to promise that, but they've got a really fast and easy setup to just get personalizing pretty much straight away. So yeah, if you guys do want to know more about Luigi's Box or any of these guys, then please let us know during or after the webinar. Then moving on to some automated messaging, you know, that really seamless handoff in terms of that customer journey. You know, it's quite rare these days, completely dependent on the product, but it's quite rare that a customer will come onto your website and immediately purchase, and that's done. You know, if someone abandons your landing page without converting, it doesn't mean it's the end. They might not have been ready to buy. They might have got distracted by something. They might just be making a cup of tea. You know, those automated emails, SMSs, push notifications, even WhatsApps these days can bring them back, you know, especially if you do segment by that behavior. So you need to think about your customer journey as a broad one and not just website to conversion. You know, things like abandoned basket or abandoned browse flows can help. You know, auto replies on live chat that can answer questions really quickly to keep your customers engaged are really powerful. And then you've also got tools like Gorgeous. They're really great for this, and they can also help you kind of keep on top of all of that as well. So analytics and heat maps. So if you guys don't have any kind of analytics or heat maps kind of currently on your website, I would highly recommend them. Microsoft Clarity is one of our favorites because it's free forever for everyone. So if you don't have it, there is no excuse. And what it does, it will show you session recordings, heat maps, you know, where people are clicking, how far people are scrolling. If there is any dead clicks, like what we saw on Monday.com earlier, where some of the CTAs don't actually go anywhere, they're kind of dead clicks. Are you frustrating your users? It takes the guesswork out of all of this optimization and tells you exactly what to test or tweak. There's so many tools out there, but you know, Microsoft Clarity is a free one, so there's no excuse. You know, it just gives you all of that basic heat mapping, all of the session replay. So, you know, it's even useful if you've got a bug on your website to try and fix it and find out what's going on. But yeah, I would highly recommend analyzing your heat maps, analyzing your session recordings, and optimizing from there. Don't just take your own opinions of your website. You know, let the data drive you to make those decisions.
It's also worth pointing out that our next webinar next month is specifically around reading your data, with quite a big push on things like heat map and session replay and qualitative data. So like Laura said, definitely go get yourself Microsoft Clarity because it's low code and it's free. And then come see us again next month for that webinar.
Yeah, we'll tell you how to use it.
Yeah,
looking forward to that. Awesome. And then A/B testing platforms. You know, it's all well and good having all of these different ideas, but finding out what works for your customer, the best way to do it is A/B testing. You could think that something is the best decision, but actually when you A/B test it, your customers may tell you otherwise. So I'd highly recommend, you know, testing headlines, CTAs, layouts, you know, even imagery like what we saw on Dell earlier, where it's got all of the kind of cold product imagery. I would love to see them test that against some real kind of warm, human-driven imagery, and just see what that does for conversions. Because my opinion would be it would increase them, but without an A/B testing platform, who knows? So, you know, what works on one page might not work on another. So let that data guide your decisions. Our favorite A/B testing tool is actually Convert. We are platform agnostic, but Convert is our highest rated A/B testing tool. There's loads of different ones out there on the market. You know, you've got A/B Tasty, Optimising, VWO, Chameleon. There's so many of them, guys. So find out which one is best for you. But, you know, the best performing pages aren't built once and left alone. They are shaped over time using data, using these really, really smart tools and that kind of constant feedback loop to continually optimize, to continually increase those conversions, increase those form submissions, whatever the main goal of your website is. Just make sure you're continually testing and continually optimizing to make it better.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Laura. So we've only got a few minutes left, so I'm going to skip through this fairly quickly. We're just going to take a quick look at how we do things at Pivotal, the process we follow when building or optimizing a landing page. Typically, we have the same few steps that we follow, which is discovery. So we get under the hood of your business, your audiences, your value proposition, what makes you guys tick and what makes your customers buy. Without this clarity, sort of no landing page will form. We then do audits and insights. We look at UX first design. Well, basically, we audit your existing landing pages and campaigns. What's working? Where are people dropping off? We look at the analytics and the heat maps, behavior tracking tools to get a full picture. There's then strategic planning based on what we learn. We map out the strategy. This includes copy direction, visual hierarchy, the user journey, and how we will support use supporting elements like social proof or urgency. There's then the design and build. We design and develop the pages that are not only beautiful, but fast, mobile optimized and conversion focused. Every element serves a purpose. We'll then test and optimize. Once the page is live, we don't just set it and forget about it. A/B testing is sort of key with this. We'll look at the key elements, monitor performance, and refine based on real world data as well. And that's that continuous optimization, which will then feed back into discoveries and setting new goals. Our goal isn't just to make things look good, it's to create pages that actually deliver results. So whether that's more leads, more purchases, or just a better return on investment from your ad spend, that's definitely something that we'll be able to help with. We've obviously covered a lot today. There's 6 quick wins that you guys can go out and apply today to see fast improvements in your landing page performance. Number 1 is headline clarity. If your headline is vague or clever but confusing, rewrite it with a clear value prop. Focus on the benefit to the user, not just the brand slogan. CTA placement, make sure that your main call to action button is above the fold. Make sure that it's large, clear, benefit led. Something like get my free guide is better than just submit. Remove distractions. If your landing page is full of menus, social icons, outbound links, remove them. Apart from the key bits that we spoke about earlier, like social proof, every extra option is a potential exit. So keep users focused on one action, which is to buy or to sign up or to go onto your mailing list. It needs to be that one action, your main conversion.
Just before Rob carries on, if there is any questions, I know we've probably got 1 minute left for the webinar. We haven't had any questions. So if any guys have got any questions, then please drop them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them.
Add trust signals early. I know Laura spoke about this. Don't wait until the bottom of the page to show testimonials, logos, guarantees, things like that. Place a couple near the top so that visitors feel safe and confident straight away. Number 5 is your page speed. Run your page through tools like Google Page Speed or GT Metrics. If it takes more than 3 seconds to load, you're definitely losing conversions. Compress images, clean up code, and then test again. And number 6 is mobile UX check. Look at your landing page on your phone right now. Is it easy to read? Is it easy to navigate, to click through? Are the buttons tiny? Are the layouts broken? Mobile experience is make or break in 2025. You don't need to rebuild everything from scratch. Sometimes just these few little tweaks can create a big lift, which brings me on to, I guess, the final tip of the day, which is to test everything. Don't just put things live because we've said it on this webinar or you think it looks good. What works well on one site or even on most sites won't necessarily work well on yours. So do test it. There's loads of even cheap A/B testing solutions, drag and drop things out there for you as well. So it doesn't have to be difficult. Alternatively, obviously, we do have a Crow department, so drop us a message. Have we had any questions?
Doesn't feel like we've had any questions. So I think everybody's probably going to go review their data and then join us for the how to read your data session and bring loads of questions to that.
That's it.
That's what's happening.
So that brings us to the end. I hope you've all been able to get something useful out of this session. As a thank you for joining us on this webinar, we're going to offer everybody on here a free teardown of your website, similar to the ones we've done on Monday at Dell. So we're going to send you over. Thanks, Sam. We're going to send you over a copy of this recording at some point in the next 24 hours, as well as an invite for that free website teardown. Alternatively, you can send an email to this email address here, hello@pivotal.digital, to request one of those teardowns or to book a meeting with us. But yeah, thank you for joining us today's webinar. I hope you found it interesting, and hopefully we'll see you all at the next one, which is GA4 heat maps and funnels, how to read your data like a pro. But that's it. So
yes, Abby, there will be a recording deck shared. Yeah, absolutely fine. We'll send it all through within the next 24 hours. You'll have the deck and the webinar with you guys. Thank you guys. Very informative, says John. Thank you. Yeah, we've enjoyed ourselves. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one where we dive into, reading about loads of data, how to actually understand it, because it can be a minefield. Oh, thanks, Emily. So amazing, so helpful. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you on the next one, or hopefully we'll see you before for a free website teardown.
that's it. Lovely. Thanks, guys.
Bye.